Hidden Cave contains a remarkable story about resilience in the desert. It's got material that goes back thousands and thousands of years. People were not living inside this cave as much as using the cave for the rest of their life. They're leaving things here because they expect them to be safe and they can come back and get them at another time.
What makes it so special is that this is a part of our people's land. We are able to come out here and harvest and use the land as it was intended for us. These places, they were held dear to our people.
Suppose we were on the moon and we were looking at planet Earth. It would be pretty easy to identify the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans in North America. And then as we zoom in, what's the most striking feature on the landscape are the two major mountain ranges. We have the Rockies, and then we have the Sierra Nevada Cascades. It's that great area in between, the Great Basin, that area of internal drainage. Hidden Cave is located in the Carson Sink, just east of Fallon. It's a very dry place. The water comes in. Once it lands here, it never leaves.
The cave overlooks the Stillwater Marsh of the Carson Desert, which is a smaller basin inside the larger Great Basin. The environment outside Hidden Cave has not changed a whole lot since 3,500 years ago. It's in the Eatsa Mountain Range, which is a sub-range of the Stillwaters.
And the archaeology of Hidden Cave, right in the middle of this intermountain area, is all about water. And that's what Native people are most concerned about living in the Great Basin. And that's why Hidden Cave is of such interest. Hidden Cave itself goes back well before people utilized it. It may even predate people in the New World. Lake Lahontan, the huge freshwater lake that formed during the Ice Age that covered much of western Nevada, wave action from Lake Lahontan carved out what is now Hidden Cave. We also know that tufa deposits, freshwater coral, formed around the edges and helped obscure where this cave came from. We certainly know it was underwater after that because of the number of the basal settlements here at Hidden Cave are water-laying. As the lake dried up and eventually completely dried up, it exposed Hidden Cave to surface terrestrial forces. I think we can divide the findings at Hidden Cave into two parts. Part of it is about the natural world. We understand a great deal more about the Carson Sink and the Intermountain West because of our excavations here. We could see a volcanic ash level that came in from southeastern Oregon, from Crater Lake. We can understand what the vegetation looks like. We can see what animals were living here. We also have a whole lot to say about what people were doing in the Hidden Cave, Carson Sink, Nevada area. The first people probably showed up at Hidden Cave 8,000 or 9,000 years ago. They didn't leave much of a record. The record is much better outside on surface assemblages that we can see around the Carson Sink. 4,000 years ago, people stopped here, probably foragers on long distant treks. They needed to leave things in a safe place. It gave them a place to hide from enemies, to use as their own special space. Climate changed further, and the Carson Sink became a very good place to live 2,000 years ago. People lived in great numbers around the marshes of Stillwater. Here was a place where water had come down and settled in a marshy environment that created all sorts of resources. Bulrush and scirpus, the plant foods were there, the ducks were coming through, people were living in houses at least half of the year. They're using it as part of their daily activities, and we know now it's mostly women who are coming up here. Life was good, and Hidden Cave was part of that. It was in their backyard. Then a record series of droughts struck the American West about 1,000 years ago. People ceased living at Stillwater, and they ceased using Hidden Cave for that as well. And then life continued around the Carson Sink. Hidden Cave all but disappeared until this site was rediscovered in the 20th century.
It was in sync with everything around you. Life was at a pace where you could observe things around you at a natural level. You understood the land you lived with, the water, the trees, the seasons, and you could almost read it like a book.
Stillwater Marsh. It's where the Indians used to live. The Creator put all these things here. You give thanks no matter what you do. Even the start of a new day. There's no other feeling to be back home where my people used to live. All the things that you see here is here for their survival.
You have meat and fish and the waterfowl. You have vegetables and the plants that you have. From the seeds to the stems to the roots. The root systems, for instance, for the tule, you could even eat the root system on those for food. From that is what we're known as in the still waters as the Paiute-Shoshone, the cattail eaters.
That's our culture, but then again, it showed you it was a means of living. And it wasn't just a cattail growing out in the water. It was put there by the Creator, but it's put there for use, and our people used it.
Hidden Cave, for instance, would have been a place that's known to our people, but we wouldn't have visited unless we had a purpose. I wouldn't go there because I don't have a purpose for being there traditionally. Today, I do go there because it's a place where people go to find a higher learning or understanding about our culture, about our people, and if we don't participate in that conversation, then our story will continually not be told about how we are still connected to these places.
Hidden Cave's been a well-known archaeological site since the 1940s. The Nevada Highway group had a dig in here with the Wheelers. University of California, Berkeley had a dig here in the early 1950s. And as I was coming along, I was working in Central Nevada at the time, but Hidden Cave was just kind of a must-see place. It's an extraordinary experience. for the seasoned archaeologist, for the new student to walk into a place like this and see, look at that archaeology, it's right in your face. We thought that we could open up the site in a way that had not been done before. What if we could get all of the artifacts from Hidden Cave together in one place? From the 40s dig in Carson City, bring things in from Berkeley, from the Cal dig in the 50s, and our own stuff, and lay them out in one place. We wanted to understand Native American life going back thousands of years in Hidden Cave. One of the extraordinary things about Hidden Cave is it's an archaeological site that people can actually come and visit. Too often when we finish a dig, we just cover it up and walk away, and people might be able to read a newspaper account about what's there, but today people can come and experience Hidden Cave. And one of the questions we get is, what's left here? Aren't there artifacts still buried in those exposures? And the answer is absolutely yes. What we do find is evidence that Native people over 5,000 years have come into this place and they've left their valuables. It's like Grandma's attic. They're leaving things here because they expect them to be safe and they can come back and get them at another time. So we're able to find nets like that, basket fragments and arrow fragments and the rest. It's something that you save and repair and curate and use across the generations. We have shell beads from the Pacific coast, made of olivella shells, made of clam discs. It may not be a stretch of the imagination. This might have been money, and it may have been deposited here as in a bank at Hidden Cave.
One thing about the archaeology here in the Great Basin is the potential for further knowledge. The basketry that we find in the upper layers of Hidden Cave we can directly associate with the historic basketry that the Stillwater Marsh people or the Paiute-Shoshone used. And they're the cattail eaters. We know from the archaeological record that cattail was used throughout the occupation of the cave. So there is a divergent view that the Paiute-Shoshone used Hidden Cave throughout its archaeological record.
When you enter Hidden Cave, the thing that you notice right off is the smell. I love that smell. It's the smell of science. We can see from the archaeological record in the profiles a lot of excavated pits. They're lined with tule that is brought in from the marsh. We have wood rats in the cave. We have guano from bats. We have people's activity in the cave.
Think about crawling into this rock tunnel in the side of a mountain. And once you get inside, and if you're lucky you don't bump your head, it opens up into this vast chamber. Once we light it up, you realize the space enclosed would be big enough where 2 National Basketball Association games could be going on at the same time, and we'd still have room for the crowd around the edges. When we started working here at Hidden Cave 3 decades ago, it was clear that we needed to communicate our results immediately. So we spent as much time as we could communicating our results with the local community. There was an expression of interest at the time that could be manifest in the plans of the Bureau of Land Management and the Churchill County Museum in making it carry on. And this is quite literally why the cave became an icon for visitorship since then. Cave tours are still going on after all this time. Somebody told me, I don't know if it's true, that more people have come through Hidden Cave on these tours than live in Fallon, Nevada. Even if that's close, that's a remarkable thing. This is not an easy place to get into. It's not an easy place to visit, but the dedication of the larger community, it's an important place. When we walked away from the site, our idea was to do as much as we could to not only preserve what we'd not excavated, but also make it available for the larger Nevada public. And as I see this now, and as I look at the records, I think the most important thing that we would do if we were going to revisit this project today is have a very active Native American component in the dig. That's something that we didn't do well back in the past, even 30 years ago, and we've learned a lesson there. At the time, archaeologists believed that we owned the past. We don't think that anymore. That was a mistake. And as a result, we had virtually no outreach to Native communities. And any work that will be done down the road at Hidden Cave, and there is plenty that could be done here in the future, will definitely have a strong Native voice.
It's a humanity issue, in my opinion, and it's one where it's very important that you talk to the people that were here first. The Creator made so many things for our people, and this is the way they lived. They respected everything, and there was a sacredness to it. It's something that the Creator made for all people, not just our people, but for all people.